Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can use your weekly layout in your Passion Planner. I've been working on this video since January, but I have difficulties customizing the Passion Planner because I found the layout a little bit too structured for me. So for example, the box right here is specifically labeled Good Things That Happen, but what if I don't want to write about good things that happen? What if I wanted to write my weekly cleaning schedule instead? That wouldn't match the label. So I tried to use washi tape and correction fluid to mask these labels, but I didn't quite like the result. But last week, I had a sudden spark of inspiration. I decided to color in these boxes with my black Crayola Super Tip so that I would get solid black boxes instead of boxes with labels on it. And then I used my bronze and gold gel pen to write my own labels in the box. And that entirely transformed how I looked at the weekly layout. Now I saw possibilities that I didn't see before, and I managed to develop quite a number of ways to customize the weekly layout. Now, before I share these ways with you, I'm going to first walk you through the original weekly layout in the Passion Planner. Now, the Passion Planner has a 2-page weekly spread, which is split into an upper section and a lower section. The upper section is divided into 8 columns. The leftmost column is where you write your focus of the week and good things that happened that week. There is also a quote and suggested actions for that week. To the right are 7 columns, one for each day of the week. You have the day and the date at the top row, followed by a box to write your focus of the day. Then you have a timeline that runs from 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. in increments of half an hour. This structure is the same for all 7 columns. On the left page of the lower section, you have a column for personal to-do list and then a column for work to-do list. The rows are organized by priority with the top priority first and then priority and then errands. The right page of the lower section is an empty space, poetically labeled space of infinite possibility. And finally, at the bottom of the right hand corner, you have the designer's name, Angela Trinidad. Now, let us take a look at how you can customize the Passion Planner. For the leftmost column, instead of just writing down the focus of the week and good things that happened that week, you can relabel the boxes and use them for your own quote of the week, upcoming events, or your cleaning schedule. All right. You can also write down things like things that you're waiting on, like a confirmation from a friend regarding a dinner appointment or a parcel that is due to arrive. Now you can split this large box right here into smaller multiple boxes by drawing these black boxes across. Alternatively, you can split the box in vertically by drawing a line right down in the middle. If you are really starved for space, then you might want to cover this section with correction fluid or a white mailing label so that you can use this space as well. Moving on to the daily columns, I'm going to suggest 7 ways to use the daily columns. First, you can use it to schedule your week. And I got this idea from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So before the beginning of each week, you set aside some time for a weekly review where you identify all the tasks that you need to complete that week. Then you look at your week and block out time for important events and tasks. So for example, on Mondays, I teach. So I block out time for my teaching and consultations. I also want to keep up with my reading, so I block out some time for reading as well. If you wanted, you could write the theme of the day in this box so you know what you're going to focus on that day. So for me, Mondays are teaching days, Tuesdays are administrative days, Wednesdays are meeting days, and so on. Instead of planning the week in the daily column, you can use it to record what you did each day. So beside the time, on the timeline, you write what you did. And so for example, I travel at 7 o'clock, I'm emailing at 4 o'clock, and I'm watching Black Panther at 8 o'clock, and so on. Tracking your time this way can help you better estimate the time you need for your tasks in the future. Instead of writing down themes for the day in this box, you can also use this box to track your habits, such as the number of steps you walk, the amount of water you drank, and so on. Now, if you're a parent who needs to keep track of your children's schedule, then you might want to split the daily column into two and write your children's schedule for each day. You might also want to write down some notes about your family in this box. The problem with this is space constraint, and I don't think it will work if you have more than 2 children, but if you have 1 or 2 children, this could still work for you. Let's say you don't intend to use the timeline. All right, but you might still want to use the space to write down your daily task list. You could split your task list into 2 sections, one for personal and one for work. And then you have a section for meal logs. At the top, you might write down some important event or appointment that day. If you find this space too small, or if you have many events and appointments, you might block out this top part of the timeline to write down your events or appointments, and then you use this space for your tasks list. Here, you might consider breaking down your daily tasks into very tiny steps. I find that when a task is overwhelming, I tend to procrastinate, but breaking it down into very tiny steps helps to reduce procrastination, and completing each tiny step gives me a sense of progress and momentum. So if procrastination is an issue for you, you might want to try this in your planner. You can also color code based on priority. So you could shade the box in the timeline with different colors, such as red for being high priority and orange being of lower priority, and so on. Now, a 6th way to use the column is as a project tracker or a project planner. Instead of having the date and the day up here, you could relabel each column with your project title. Now, if you are a student, you might write the course code here instead. You can write down all the tasks related to that project or the course, such as the things that are due that week and so on, so that you can keep on top of that project. Finally, if you're like me and you dedicate time to reading non-fiction books every day, you might want to write down what you learned each day in this column. In this box, you could write down the topic or the title of the book, and then below you write down what you learned and some reflection on what you have learned. Moving on to the lower section of the left page. Here I chose to split the personal to-do list column into 2. So one for chores and one for the grocery list. If you have additional space, you might use the bottom part to write down your daily routine or any other information related to your personal to-do lists. For the work to-do list, I actually find it really hard to write down tasks in terms of priorities because tasks come in throughout the week. So it's really hard to write down based on priorities. So I have used Correction Fluid to remove the words top priority and priority. Instead, I categorize the tasks by type. So my project, teaching, and admin. And then I number the tasks for each type based on priority. So number 1 being most important, 2 being the next important task, and so on and so forth within the teaching type of tasks. If the tasks have a deadline, you might want to write the deadline in this column instead of writing numbers to signal priority. Now, the right page of the lower section is the most customizable part of the entire layout. Recently, I realized that I've been cooking the same dishes over and over again. So I decided to give myself a challenge where I would try one new recipe each week. So here I wrote down one new recipe that I will try that week, and then in the space beside it I journaled about the week. But you can use this space to extend your task list. If your task list is very long, you might extend it here, or you could use it to write down ideas, to draw, take notes, and so on. So you can do pretty much anything with this space right here. Alright, so those are all my ideas for customizing the Passion Planner. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I try to upload videos at least once a month, and I post a great deal more on Instagram on how I strive towards a eudaimonic life. So if that is something that you think might interest you, please check out my Instagram account. The link is in the description box below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Take care and bye-bye.